And as you all know, the fintechs have a situation that you have been confined to the financial space. People think fintech and they automatically think banking industry, but the reality is it's permeated to all economic sectors, from tourism to health to manufacturing. Fintech is everywhere. And the way you are modernizing and pushing industry that has been historically change adverse forward is just amazing. So with me, I have a stellar list of panelists to help us unpack the different trends and the real life world impact that fintech have done to dynamize the different transformation that we're seeing in the world. So with me, I want to introduce Martha Underwood. Martha has over 25 years of technology leadership in companies that I would love to introduce, and she runs an amazing project called Prism that helps not only transition business as usual, for to keep peace of mind for people that are in a very difficult position and they have to deal with funding and with assets. She takes care of that in an amazing way. So Martha, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm happy to be here. I'm a native of Miami, went to Miami Central High School, so amazing to see the growth here in the city. I'm Martha Underwood, and I am the CEO and founder of Prism. It is a digital vault that we sell to banks to help transfer money from an account holder to a beneficiary.
Do you mind turning on your mic?
It's not on? Can you hear me now? There we go. Well, I'll start over. Thank you for having me. As a native of Miami, not born here, but raised here and went to Miami Central High School. Happy to be back and happy to see the city thriving. I'm Martha Underwood, and I am the CEO and founder of Prism. Prism is a digital vault that we sell to banks to help transition funds from an account holder to a beneficiary when they die. I was formerly the head of retail software engineering at a global bank, and during COVID saw the crisis happening where people who died in the bank, the beneficiaries would come to the banks looking for the assets. And with the boomers about to transition and the great wealth transfer that's about to happen, $124 trillion that's about to pass hands by 2048, we need to modernize the way we transfer money. You know, my friend on the panel before was talking about how you have instant payments. We need to make sure that the banks can instantly transfer that money from an account holder to a beneficiary, because the process today is very manual, right? And you need to get that to them. Like, how many people today, if something happened to them today, everyone knows in the family where everything is, where the money is? It's one hand. And if your family doesn't know where the money is, it's going to go to the government. And so I said that this is a problem that we can solve, and I'm solving it right now. So happy to be here to talk about that, because again, this is transformation that needs to happen at the banks, and I'm happy to be on the forefront of that.
Thank you so much, Martha. We are very excited to get into that. My mic is on. Yes. Oh, it's on. Thank you. Our next panelist is Ryan Frick. Ryan is the Managing Director of Ocean Blue Partners, a venture capital firm helping entrepreneurs bring innovative tech solutions to the market. Ryan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I just want to make sure this is not on. Hello? Now it's on? Nope. Yep, we're back. All right, first of all, I just want to thank...
It's me.
That's you? Okay. I just want to thank... We're off again? Hello? Nope, we're back. I want to thank the Beacon Council, the Miami Fintech Club. I can just step on mic if you want. We're down here?
Yep, you share.
All right, I'm back. So yeah, look, I just want to thank the Beacon Council, the Miami Fintech Club, Fintech Americas, anyone I may have missed up there, for the opportunity. Obviously, my B2B software and deep tech primarily. I'm born and bred in Miami, as are all my 5 other managing partners. So we are highly focused on Florida and South Florida specifically, although we do invest all over the country. So I started my career actually as a CPA. I know it doesn't really, well, hopefully it doesn't show too much of my face, but there are deep scars and pain inside me that are still ruminating from that time. But I did 10 years with Deloitte, surprisingly, 3 years in Miami, and then another 7 in Sydney, Australia. I actually I became a citizen of Australia while I was living out there. It was an incredible experience. But I worked through several different industries, real estate, gaming, med tech, commodities trading, mining, etc. Learned quite a lot, and then during that time started doing some angel investing. I had friends, clients, etc. that were starting companies here in Miami at the early stages, kind of during that growth phase that Bolin had alluded to in the previous panel. And yeah, started writing some checks, had some winners, a lot of losers, but honestly what it did was kind of, it grew that passion inside me for wanting to help out emerging companies, especially in my hometown. I loved it, I got addicted to it, and ultimately joined Oceansville Partners. So while I'm not the fintech expert that Ronald and Martha are here, I can certainly speak to the VC lens of it. I can speak to how fintech has permeated across all the different industries that we look at, how it's become embedded, in all the different sectors that we invest in. And I mean, like ultimately, fintech, I think nowadays has ceased to become a sector, and it's more, a capability really. So excited to share the stage, and thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry about the microphone.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And last but definitely not least, we have Ronald Alvarenga. Mr. Ronald is the CEO of InSwitch, which is a fintech company that simplifies its financial services integration, enabling business to scale seamlessly through AI-driven platforms. Ronald brings a wealth of banking and financial sector experience. And Ronald, would you mind introducing yourself?
Thank you very much. So, hello? Yeah, perfect. So thank you for the invitation. I think very good description about InSwitch. Thank you for that. So it's a pleasure to be here. Here in Miami. I think I have been for 12 years here, but originally I come from El Salvador, a country in Central America. Very happy to live in Miami. I think this is something that it's gonna be for me for a long time, living here, even for my family. So my background is very simple. I work for the banking industry at the beginning, so I'm a banker, for the good, for the bad, used to. Sometimes I'm making some jokes about I have been in the dark side, I'm in the blue side now, but so my experience is banking at that time. I worked for Citibank for 12 years, I would say. But then I received a call from a telecommunication company to say, hey, we want to do fintech products. But at that time, the word fintech didn't exist. So it was 2011, 2010, that the telecommunication companies, they say, we have a huge customer base. We have a huge, a lot of customers. We have a lot of data. How can we do with them in order to offer more services, to keep more, they say, to have more loyalty, stickiness with our core business. So, and maybe you remember some memories about M-Pesa in Africa, building digital wallets for the poor population, financial inclusion. So yeah, they say, hey, Rada, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's build that. And they say, okay. I basically took that, trying to build a digital wallets for Latin America and Africa. So, and after 7 years, we launched the full wallet solution for 7 markets in Africa and 7 markets in Latin America. And I realized how complex it was to build a product that was with global scalability. I found a lot of challenges finding the partners, the providers, the solution, connecting with the local payment rails, partnering with Visa, MasterCard. So I think the first contract we spent 3 years just to launch the product. So being a customer, being on that, realized that it was a big problem in the fintech industry, building companies that can provide infrastructure to other companies to make financial services more accessible to the population. And that's what we do in InSwitch. So I joined InSwitch 5 years ago as a CEO, and the mission is we don't want to have this, that the technology is an excuse to develop financial services for the end consumer. So our specialization is we are the company that is behind the scene of Prismm, all these, we see a lot of potential clients here, some partners. We are the ones that no one knows, but is providing the infrastructure, meaning infrastructure, technology, payment capabilities, integration with all the payment rails across the globe, And we're trying to help all the companies, not only the banks, to move money, to develop financial services, to embedded financial products into the core. And that's what we do every day, and we're very happy.
That's amazing, Ronald, and you gave me an amazing segue to my first question for the panel. Understanding what we're here for, that fintech are surely permeating all different sectors, tourism, real estate, even document management. What has driven that evolution, and where do you see the greatest impact happening at the moment, Martha?
I mean, there's several different places. One of the things that I'm following right now is what Walmart is doing with digital ATMs. And so we know that Gen Z, right, they are always using their cards, they want things fast. And so studies had shown that when they go to take money out of like cash back at a Walmart or something, they're just swiping and they don't care like how much money they have. And so Walmart is just like, let's partner with a company to put the digital ATM there so when they do take money out, they can get what their cash back, well, they can get what their balance is, right? Or they can do a transaction right there if they're buying gum or they're buying candy or gummies like my boys like to buy, then they're able to transact there right at the retail point of sale, which is crazy to me because you don't think of that as a place for me to take money out from an ATM process, right? I'm gonna go to the bank to be able to do that. And so we're seeing that fintech and financial services is permeating everything, even retail. There's some manufacturing examples as well. But that was fascinating to me because they're really trying to get to that next generation to meet them where they are. Because that's the way they work today, and that's the way they love to transact today. So it's very interesting to see that type of innovation happening with a Walmart.
That's amazing, and you're exactly right. You have to meet the clients where they are. You can't let them go to your court. You have to meet them where they are and build the financial services that they need. So, Ronald, what's your answer there?
Yeah, that's a good compliment on that. I think that in the past, if you need a financial product, usually you need to go to the bank, right? That's the way that we were designed in the past. Now, if you need a financial product, you get the financial services in real time. Something like fintech is only financial services that are related to banks. Even Inswitch were building financial infrastructure for non-financial institutions. And we start with telecommunication companies. But now we're offering our platform and technology to gig economy companies like Uber, InDrive, Instacart, that you see how big are these companies that they have all these customers, riders, shoppers, that they need financial services. They need to have access easily to the money that they are getting every day. They need to have access to get credit scoring, because some of them, they don't have credit experience. They need to have access to car insurance. So there are a lot of potential and opportunities. And the ones that is managing all this information is the gig economy company, or is the insurance company, or is the retailer. So why? What is the big potential? Is how can we build that solution for them in the point of contact with them? So what we're doing right now, we're offering pay-in, pay-out capabilities for insurance companies, how we can move efficient the money for the claims. Maybe that's something that is new for me coming from Latin America. In the US, we use a lot of checks, right? Every day, I think that's something, it's only in the US. But imagine the way that the check doesn't exist. The opportunity to receive real-time payments, to avoid checks, to receive the payment in your hands, in the way that you want to receive the money, not in the way that the bank wants to send you the money. So there is a lot of democratization of financial services that we believe that if every company rely on technology And every company rely on the potential that they have in the core business. They can create a big avenue building financial services with the first objective just to keep the core healthy, growing. But for the second one, that's a new avenue to build revenue, additional revenue streams. And that's what we do in that question.
So that's brilliant, and that talks about the ecosystem. So there's a place for everybody. There's a place for the traditional banking, because you have the account there and the fundings are there. You have a place for the fintech, who is enabling the transfer of money. You have a place for the brands. Both MasterCard has MasterCard Direct, and Visa has Visa Direct. No, MasterCard Send and Visa Direct that enable real-time payment. So there's an ecosystem building that all these players interchange together to make sure that the Uber driver gets his payment in the same day. So they don't have to wait till the end of the week or to the month. So that's a great way to positioning the fintech as an ecosystem in which everybody has a role and a great opportunity to grow.
And I was just going to say, just to add to that, all great points, that I think it's just interesting how fintech is embedding in sectors where it always wasn't so obvious. Think logistics with, freight insurance, FX, think, retail with fractional ownership, with mortgages. I mean, you're seeing fintech pop up almost as just these, modules or modularity in all these different sectors where it wasn't always so obvious that this was a, fintech play. So that's, a lot of what we're seeing in the market.
That's absolutely. I would love to start with you, Ryan. We know that Ocean Azul invests heavily in AI and robotics. Which emerging sectors do you think are ripe for disruption over the next 5 to 10 years?
I think there's a lot. I mean, I think it'd be a disservice to this panel to not say fintech. But I mean, I think it's I think AI has created a few issues and a few solutions, right? And I think the solutions are that it's just so much easier to build cheaply, right? I mean, whereas I think the focus several years ago was, okay, let's raise money in our seed round to be able to develop our product and to spend heavily on R&D. I think nowadays, since it's so cheap to build with AI and automation, there's so much, I guess, areas where you can just build cheaply and then focus more on your go-to-market solution. So, I think Sam Altman said it. There will be a day, and I think it'll be soonish, where there'll be $1 billion one-person company, right? And I mean, that's just the reality of the future and the reality of building, and we're moving back towards focusing on go-to-market strategies for businesses to grow and getting there, and I guess working around any kind of regulations that you need to. But fintech is obviously the one of the sectors that we are focusing on, where we think that AI will have the largest amount of disruption. You think of fraud prevention, you think of underwriting, you think of all the different ways that AI can embed into your solution and be able to make it more efficient. And I think it's pretty clear that fintech is not only going to be itself changed by AI, but also fintech is going to permeate, as we've the theme of this entire panel has been, into several different sectors and industries.
Same question for Martha.
I'd like to double click on that. One of the things that I think is going to be really critical as it relates to AI, and one of the things where we play in, is data security and consent and privacy. Because with AI, you can't control who's putting what type of information in there. So if you did a search on yourself and you never used it and you find yourself in one of the LLMs, you're going to be like, well, how did I get there? That's because someone else put you there or put your information there. And that's one of the things that I'm focused on with Prism as well, with the digital vault, because personal data management is going to be the number one thing that I think is going to be the thing that in the future that everyone's going to have their mind on. Because our data, there's no more source of truth of data anymore. Like when you look at systems, you have so many people having access to your systems. You don't know who has access to your data, where that data is going, where it's being shared, because companies today just assume consent. You cannot even use your phones right now unless you agree to the terms, and you're not even reading the terms. So you don't even know what they're doing with your data. And so it's going to be critical for you to be able to baseline your own data. Because if someone says that they have this file on you and say that this is who you are, how are you going to even combat that if you know that? And so with AI, I think that we have a great opportunity for advancement and all of the innovations that happen there. But we also need to be very mindful of how we're using it and making sure that we have some guardrails around our privacy. And I think that we're going to see a lot of products around consent being built, because you can't control who's going to put information into it. And that's going to be a big thing. And we're really focused on that with Prism, on how we even built it, how we architected it, because it's your own vault, it's portable, you have to give someone access to it, and there's an audit trail behind it. And it was built intentionally because, just trying to read the tea leaves and looking into the future, we know that people, want to be able to maintain their privacy and own their consent and not just give it away.
That's beautiful. I think Ryan said it best. AI has solved many problems and opened new problems that we didn't think happening. Ronan, your approach in AI?
That's a great point. I think AI is part of the DNA of the company, I would say. So we adopted AI as part of when we're trying to find the company, how would you use AI to improve the process that you're going to be doing? So it's part of the DNA of the company, and that's something that we're promoting, because I think that's going to change the way that we do things. I think it's not going to replace, the human is not going to be replaced by AI. I think the human is going to be replaced for other companies that are using AI. I think it's more to adopt AI rather than waiting for someone to take that deal. I think what we're doing that, we're using AI for integrations. So we have some assistants that help companies to integrate easily with our technology, with our APIs. So if we have companies in China or maybe in Asia or in Europe that they are asking questions to us 12 a.m., and maybe the engineers are sleeping, there is an AI that is answering all these questions about API integration, but also the potential about compliance, how to prevent fraud, how to develop models that are more smart even for the real person to detect new kind of frauds. I think that's something that we need to adopt, embrace the change, and try to be prepared for the future.
Thank you so much for that. I think it's safe to say this is a very international panel. I would love to talk about lessons learned. Ryan, we'd love to compare and contrast your time in Sydney and what you're seeing here in Miami in terms of momentum and growth. And for the VC perspective, what are you looking for and what excites you for the coming time?
Yep, I can get into that. Just before I do though, I got a little layup for Prism here. So we were talking about data management, and obviously our personal assets have completely been digitalized. They're expanding. We're all dealing with several different digital identities, etc. So I had an aunt and uncle that passed away this year, and they didn't have a will, right? No estate planning, nothing. As a CPA, my CPA brain was kind of going crazy in the situation. Obviously, I was mourning, but I don't think people realize the amount of assets, even very moderate living people have, and how much they actually have to plan for, organize, everything. It's been it's been an absolute nightmare. So when you were talking about kind of data management, this kind of data chaos and everything else, I thought of obviously the solution that you have, and I guess it would have been made it a lot easier, in the kind of situation I've been in. So it's maybe you can add a little bit on that, and I can get into Sydney.
Sure. I love it, Ryan. And that's the thing, right? Because again, at the bank, I got to see firsthand. And I'm a Gen Xer. I take care of my parents. My parents are 84 and 85. That's why I'm here in Miami this week, just to visit them to make sure that they're okay. But they have amassed a lot of assets over the years, right? And I need to know where they are so that we can ensure that it's transferred. But I also need to safeguard their data because they're older and they're targets of fraud, right? And so how are we all thinking about personal data management, digital legacy, digital assets? I won't even talk about, the digital assets like cryptocurrency and stablecoins that's coming, because we're in this stage of transformation to the whole financial industry is transforming. And we're in the middle of it. And so if you don't even know what you have today, how do you know what you're going to transfer, from a digital currency perspective? And that's important, not only for our parents, for ourselves, and for our children, because it's about legacy. And I don't think that we think about it enough. And so, yes, I would have loved, I'll get you a Prism account now, so you'll have it. I'll get everyone a Prism account if they want one.
For my next death.
For your next death. No, don't even say that. We won't even claim that. But it's critical that we think about that, right? It's really critical that we think about it, because we're all here, we work hard, we play hard, but we want to make sure that the next generation is taken care of, and it's about legacy and financial legacy, for me in particular, really looking at that. So that's important. So yes, thank you for that.
That was not a paid sponsorship, so it's a real thing. I forgot your question. I think it was about where I see Miami
So allow
international.
me this time to change it, actually.
Okay. Bad question. Sorry.
What's your prediction for the next 10 years? Where do you think the ecosystem is going, and what's your recommendation? That's a question for all.
I think these guys and Ray nailed it, right? I mean, I've seen Miami grow so much. My parents met in an elevator in Brickell Key 1 in '84, right? I mean, like the only tower that was in Brickell Key. Now I live in a building in Brickell Key, and it looks completely different. I mean, you guys can imagine what it was like when I came back from living in Australia. I came back after COVID and started walking around Brickell Avenue, and I was like, what has happened here? What is this place? Why is my rent 8 times what it was before? But I think Miami, like we said it before, right? Miami is not just a bridge to Latin America. Miami is a bridge to the entire world now. It's the legislation is very entrepreneur friendly. All the different, I guess, components are in place for Miami to grow, right? I mean, the talent is starting to catch up, and I think that starts with the universities and supporting them, but, I think that'll eventually get there. The institutional capital is here, headquarters are here, it's exciting. So my prediction is, Miami's gonna be, one of the top 3, top 4 startup / VC-friendly cities in maybe the world, in the United States, I don't know, but I don't want you to play this video back when when everything goes to hell, but I'm very excited. We're very bullish on Miami, and that's why we support it so much.
Yeah, ditto. I think that Miami is poised to replace Silicon Valley, as the place where innovation happens. Because a lot of times when people thought about innovation, they thought about Silicon Valley. But the thing that I think Miami has that Silicon Valley doesn't have is the people. It's the diversity of thought. It's the diversity of talent. It's the international community, right? It's the bridge to understanding what Europe is doing, because Europe is light year ahead of us on some of the fintech regulations with open banking and open finance and all of those things, right? But they're bringing that talent here, and they're working in, the off of Brickell, for all of those financial buildings, and they're bringing that talent here, and they're bringing those products here. And so I think that they'll be poised. Miami will take over Silicon Valley as the place to build your fintech company.
I don't have any additional comment. Everything. I just want to repeat what you say. I think maybe the only additional comment that came to my mind is that Miami, I would say the state of Florida, it is or is leading the innovation inside of the US. And that's something that I see, because the way that you can do a lot of things here can demonstrate not only to the world, but even to other states in the US, how to do things. In terms of taxes, and sometimes say you have incentive taxes, but also in terms of adoption for cryptocurrency, but also in terms of trying to minimize the frictions that a lot of companies have to develop solutions. So I think that can be like a good example to lead in the US, inside of the US, and of course, that's what.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And with that, we're done. Thank you for our panelists. I think you've been stellar.
Wait a minute, I have to copy her. Now we're gonna have to do a selfie now. You're gonna make us do a selfie. Charlotte, can you pass me the camera? Come on.
Lives on.
The tradition lives on.
Who's gonna take the picture?
I got it. Come on.
Got it.
1, 2, 3.
Wait, hold on.
No.
Ready?
Miami.
Gotcha. Thank you.